The vastness of space stretched out before the U.S. horizon, humanity's most advanced exploration vessel. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling, violet atmosphere of the planet below. After years of searching, they had finally found signs of extraterrestrial life. "Status report, Dr. Purtle," Chen called out, her voice steady despite the excitement coursing through her veins. Dr. Aisha Patel, the ship's lead xenobiologist, looked up from her console. "The planet's atmosphere is breathable, Captain. Gravity is 1.2 times that of Earth. No signs of active technology, but there's something odd about the readings." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Odd how?" Patel frowned, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. "There are traces of advanced materials scattered across the surface. It's as if there was once a thriving civilization here, but it's been abandoned." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Chen took a deep breath, her decision already made. "Prep the landing team. We're going down there." Hours later, Chen led a small team across the alien landscape. The planet's surface was a chaos of purple vegetation and crystalline formations that seemed to hum with latent energy. The remnants of what must have been magnificent structures jutted from the ground like the bones of forgotten giants. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, the team's security officer. His hand never strayed far from his weapon, eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. Dr. Petel nodded in agreement, her attention focused on the handheld scanner she carried. "The energy readings are off the charts. Whatever civilization built this place, they were far more advanced than us." As they approached what appeared to be the remains of a massive domed structure, a sound caught Chen's attention. It was faint, almost lost in the whisper of the alien wind, but unmistakable. "Did you hear that?" she asked, holding up a hand to halt the team. Rodriguez nodded, his posture tense. "Sounded like a growl." The sound came again, louder this time. It was a low, rumbling noise that seemed to vibrate through the very ground beneath their feet. Chen felt a shiver run down her spine, a primal part of her brain recognizing the sound of a predator. "Over there," Petel whispered, pointing towards a pile of gleaming debris. Chen squinted, then gasped. Half hidden beneath the twisted metal was a massive form. As they watched, it shifted, and two glowing eyes locked onto them. "Holy shit," Rodriguez breathed. "Is that a lion?" The creature before them was indeed reminiscent of an earth lion, but on a scale that defied belief. It was easily twice the size of its terrestrial counterpart, its mane a shimmering cascade of what looked like liquid metal. Intricate patterns swirled across its fur, pulsing with a faint blue light. But what struck Chen most were its eyes. They shone with an intelligence that was undeniably sentient, filled with pain and something else: fear, loneliness. "It's injured," Patel said, her scanner beeping urgently. "Some kind of energy weapon, I think. It's dying." The creature let out another low growl, but there was no menace in it. Instead, it sounded almost like a plea. Chen made her decision in an instant. "We need to help it." Rodriguez looked at her in disbelief. "Captain, with all due respect, that thing could tear us apart. We have no idea what it's capable of." "And we have no idea if it's the last of its kind," Chen countered. "We came out here to make first contact, to learn about other life in the universe. This could be our only chance." She took a step towards the alien lion, her heart pounding but her voice gentle. "It's okay," she said, not knowing if the creature could understand her words, but hoping it would understand her tone. "We're here to help." The lion's eyes never left her as she approached. When she was just a few feet away, it let out a soft rumble, almost like a purr. Then, to everyone's amazement, it slowly lowered its massive head, exposing its neck in a universal gesture of trust. Chen placed her hand on the creature's mane, feeling the warmth and the strange, metallic texture of its fur. In that moment, as human and alien made their first true connection, she knew that everything was about to change. Dr. Pertol, she called out, her voice filled with wonder and determination. Prepare for emergency treatment. Lieutenant Rodriguez, contact the ship. Tell them we're bringing aboard a new passenger. As the team sprang into action, Chen stayed by the alien lion's side, marveling at the twist of fate that had brought them to this moment. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever mysteries this creature held, she knew one thing for certain: humanity had just taken its first real step into a larger universe. And they would face it together. The rescue. The U.S. Horizon's medical bay had never seen a patient quite like this before. The alien lion, which the crew had taken to calling Nexus, lay on a reinforced examination table, its massive form dwarfing the human medical equipment surrounding it. Dr. Eliza Wong, the ship's chief medical officer, stood before the creature, her face a mask of concentration as she studied the holographic readouts floating above Nexus. Fascinating, she murmured, more to herself than to Captain Chen, who stood nearby. Its cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's almost as if it's not entirely biological. Chen frowned. What do you mean? Wong gestured to the swirling patterns on Nexus's fur. These aren't just markings. There's some kind of advanced nanotechnology integrated seamlessly with organic tissue. Whoever created this being, they were operating on a level of science that makes ours look primitive. Nexus let out a low rumble, its glowing eyes fixed on Chen. Despite its alien nature, she could swear she saw gratitude in that gaze. Can you help it? Chen asked. Wong nodded slowly. I think so. The main issue is the energy weapon that wounded it. It's disrupted the nanotech systems throughout its body. If we can jumpstart those systems, I believe Nexus's own healing capabilities will take care of the rest. Do it, Chen ordered. As Wong and her team prepared for the procedure, Chen's comm unit buzzed. Captain, Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through, tense and urgent. We've got a situation up here. Chen cast one last look at Nexus before hurrying to the bridge. When she arrived, she found Rodriguez and Dr. Patel huddled around the main view screen, their faces grim. Report, Chen barked. Patel turned to her, eyes wide. We've been analyzing the data we collected from the planet's surface. Captain, that wasn't just an outpost we found. It was a battlefield. The view screen lit up with a map of the planet, overlaid with energy signatures and debris patterns. Chen's stomach dropped as she realized the implications. There was a war, she breathed. Rodriguez nodded, a big one. And based on the readings, it wasn't that long ago. Maybe a few months. But that's not all, Patel added, her voice shaking slightly. We've detected an energy signature in orbit around the planet's moon. It's faint, but it's there, and it's not natural. Chen's mind raced. A ship. We think so, Rodriguez confirmed. Powered down, maybe damaged, but definitely not one of ours. The weight of command settled heavily on Chen's shoulders. They had come seeking first contact, and now they found themselves in the middle of an interstellar conflict they knew nothing about. Options, she asked. We could leave, Rodriguez suggested, though his tone made it clear he didn't favor this choice. Head back to Earth, report what we found. Patel shook her head vehemently. And leave Nexus. Leave all this knowledge behind. Captain, this could be the most important discovery in human history. Chen was silent for a long moment, weighing her choices. Finally, she straightened, her decision made. We stay, she declared. We heal Nexus. We learn what we can, and we prepare. Whatever happened here, whatever's waiting for us out there, humanity needs to be ready. As if in response to her words, the ship suddenly shuddered. Alarms blared as the crew stumbled, caught off guard by the unexpected motion. What the hell was that? Chen demanded, steadying herself against a console. Rodriguez's fingers flew over his controls. Energy surged from the medical bay. It's Nexus. Without a word, Chen sprinted from the bridge, her heart pounding. When she reached the medical bay, she skidded to a halt, staring in awe at the scene before her. Nexus stood in the center of the room, its massive form crackling with energy. The patterns on its fur glowed brightly, pulsing in complex sequences. Dr. Wong and her team huddled in a corner, their faces a mix of fear and wonder. As Chen watched, the energy surrounding Nexus coalesced, forming intricate symbols in the air. With a start, she realized they were stars, a star map. Nexus turned its gaze to Chen, and this time there was no mistaking the intelligence in those eyes. It opened its mouth and to everyone's shock spoke. The words were no language Chen had ever heard, yet somehow she understood their meaning perfectly. "Danger comes," Nexus said, its voice a rumble that seemed to vibrate through her very bones. "We must prepare." In that moment, as human and alien stood face to face, united by a common threat, Chen knew that the true adventure was only just beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger, more dangerous universe, but they would not face it alone. With Nexus by their side, they had a fighting chance. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was beating the odds. "All right," Chen said, her voice steady and determined. "Let's get to work." Unlikely alliance. The bridge of the U.S. horizon hummed with tension as Captain Chen stood before the holographic star map Nexus had generated. The alien lion sat regally beside her, its presence both awe-inspiring and slightly unnerving to the assembled crew. "All right, Nexus," Chen said, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Tell us what we're facing." Nexus's eyes glowed as it spoke, its words resonating in a way that bypassed language barriers. "They are called the Void Collective," it began, its voice a low rumble. "A race of beings that exist in the space between stars, feeding on the energy of entire civilizations." Dr. Potel leaned forward, her scientific curiosity piqued. "How is that possible? To exist in the vacuum of space?" "Their technology far surpasses your own," Nexus explained. "They have evolved beyond the need for planets, beyond the constraints of biological form as you understand it." Lieutenant Rodriguez frowned. "And they're coming here, to Earth." Nexus nodded, a surprisingly human gesture. "They have already consumed countless worlds. Your solar system is next in their path." A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. Chen's mind raced, weighing options, considering strategies. "How do we stop them?" she asked finally. Nexus's fur rippled, the nanites within it forming complex patterns. "Alone you cannot. But together, there may be a chance." With a gesture of its massive paw, Nexus manipulated the star map, zooming in on a distant sector. "Here," it said, "the last stronghold of my people, the Luminary. We are few now, scattered across the stars, but we have fought the Void Collective before. With your help, we may be able to do so again." Chen studied the map, noting the vast distance between their current position and the Luminary stronghold. "That's a long journey," she mused, "and we'd be flying blind into unknown territory." "Not blind," Nexus countered. "I can guide you, and along the way, I can teach you. About the universe, about the technologies you will need to survive what is coming." Chen looked around at her crew, seeing the mix of fear and determination on their faces. This was more than they had signed up for, more than any human had ever faced. But she also saw resolve, the innate human drive to overcome, to protect, to explore. "All right," she said, straightening her shoulders. "Let's put it to a vote. This mission will be dangerous, possibly one way. Anyone who wants to return to Earth, speak now. No judgment, no repercussions." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, one by one, the crew members voiced their decision. "I'm in," Rodriguez said firmly. "The scientific opportunities alone." Dr. Potel trailed off, shaking her head in wonder. "I wouldn't miss this for anything." Dr. Wong stepped forward. "Someone's got to keep this crew alive. Count me in." One by one, every member of the crew pledged their commitment to the mission. Chen felt a swell of pride and gratitude. This was humanity at its best, brave, curious, and united in the face of the unknown. "Then it's settled," Chen declared. "Nexus, you're officially part of this crew now. Let's see what we can teach each other." Over the next weeks, as the Horizon journeyed deeper into uncharted space, an extraordinary exchange of knowledge took place. Nexus shared insights into advanced propulsion systems, allowing the ship's engineers to push the engines far beyond their original capabilities. In return, the humans taught Nexus about their culture, their history, their indomitable spirit. Dr. Patel worked tirelessly with Nexus, unraveling the mysteries of its nano-integrated biology. "It's incredible," she reported to Chen one day, her eyes shining with excitement. "The Luminari have found a way to merge organic life with technology on a fundamental level. The applications for medicine, for space exploration, it's beyond anything we've ever imagined." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Rodriguez and his security team trained with Nexus, learning combat techniques developed over millennia of interstellar conflict. The aliens' strength and agility were unmatched, but Rodriguez found that human ingenuity and adaptability often leveled the playing field. "They've got the advantage in raw power," Rodriguez told Chen after a particularly grueling training session. "But we've got something they don't: creativity, the ability to think outside the box. In a real fight, that could make all the difference." As the journey progressed, Chen noticed a change coming over her crew. The initial fear and uncertainty were giving way to a sense of purpose, of destiny. They were no longer just explorers. They were Earth's first line of defense against a threat beyond imagination. One evening, as Chen stood in the observation deck, watching the unfamiliar stars streak by, Nexus joined her. "Your people continue to surprise me," the alien said, its voice tinged with what Chen had learned to recognize as admiration. "In all my travels, I have never encountered a species so adaptable." Chen smiled. "It's kind of our thing. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before on our own planet. We've always found a way to survive, to push forward." Nexus was silent for a moment, its glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. "Perhaps," it said finally, "that is why the universe brought us together. My people have the knowledge, the technology, but yours have the spirit that may yet turn the tide against the Void Collective." A proximity alert cut through the moment, sending both Chen and Nexus rushing to the bridge. On the main view screen, a massive structure loomed against the backdrop of space, a sprawling space station that seemed to be built into the very fabric of a nebula. "The Luminari Nexus," Nexus breathed, a note of reverence in its voice. "The last bastion of my people." As the Horizon approached the station, Chen felt the weight of history settling upon her shoulders. This was it, the moment where humanity would truly step onto the galactic stage. "Open a channel," she ordered, her voice steady. "Let's introduce ourselves to our new allies." As the communication systems crackled to life, Chen straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. Whatever came next, Earth was no longer alone in the universe. And with allies like Nexus and the Luminari, perhaps they stood a chance against the darkness that was coming. The future of not just humanity, but of all life in the galaxy, hung in the balance, and Captain Sarah Chen was determined to rise to the challenge. Preparation for battle. The Luminari Nexus was a marvel of engineering that defied human comprehension. As Captain Chen led her team through its crystalline corridors, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The entire structure seemed alive, pulsing with energy and responding to the thoughts and movements of its inhabitants. Nexus walked beside them, its massive form dwarfing even the tallest of the Luminari. The alien beings regarded their lost companion with a mixture of joy and reverence, their luminescent bodies shimmering with excitement. "They say you have brought hope," Sarah Chen, Nexus translated as a group of Luminari elders approached. Hope in the form of a species young enough to still dream, yet old enough to understand the weight of the galaxy. Chen straightened, feeling the responsibility of not just her crew, but her entire species resting on her shoulders. "We come seeking alliance," she said, her voice clear and determined. Earth stands ready to join the fight against the Void Collective. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. The Horizon's crew threw themselves into learning and adapting Luminary technology while sharing human innovations that the ancient race found surprisingly effective. Dr. Patel worked tirelessly with Luminary scientists, integrating their advanced biotechnology with human medical knowledge. "It's incredible," she reported to Chen, her eyes shining with excitement. "We're developing treatments that could potentially reverse aging, cure any disease. The applications for this tech go far beyond just fighting the Void Collective." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Rodriguez and his security team trained relentlessly, learning to operate Luminary weapons and defense systems. "Their tech is amazing, Captain," Rodriguez said during one briefing, "but it lacks the adaptability we humans take for granted. We're finding ways to modify their weapons, make them more versatile. The Luminary are impressed." Chen herself spent long hours in strategic meetings with the Luminary High Command and Nexus, poring over star charts and battle plans. The Void Collective's advance was relentless, consuming star systems at an alarming rate. Earth had months, maybe a year at most, before the threat reached their solar system. One evening, as Chen stood on an observation deck overlooking the nebula that housed the Luminary Nexus, Nexus joined her. "Your people continue to amaze us," the alien said, its voice a comforting rumble. "In mere weeks, you have grasped concepts that took my ancestors centuries to develop." Chen smiled wryly. "Necessity is the mother of invention, as we say on Earth. Nothing motivates humans quite like a threat to our existence." Nexus was silent for a moment, its glowing eyes reflecting the swerving colors of the nebula. "There is something else," it said finally. "A quality unique to humans that we have observed. You call it hope." Chen turned to face her alien friend. "Hope, yes," Nexus continued. "Even in the face of overwhelming odds, your people maintain a belief that victory is possible. It is inspiring." The Luminary had begun to resign themselves to eventual defeat. "Your arrival has rekindled a fire we had thought long extinguished." Before Chen could respond, an alarm blared throughout the station. They rushed to the command center, where a grim-faced Luminary elder awaited them. "A Void Collective scout ship," the elder announced as a holographic display flickered to life. "It has entered the outer reaches of this system." Chen's mind raced. "Have they detected us?" The elder shook its luminescent head. "We do not believe so, but it is only a matter of time. We must act quickly." Chen surveyed the room, seeing the fear in the eyes of both Luminary and her own crew. But she also saw determination, a shared resolve to face this threat head-on. "Then we strike first," she declared. "We take the fight to them before they can report our position." The plan came together quickly. The Horizon, augmented with Luminary tech, would lead a small strike force to intercept and destroy the scout ship. It was a risky move, but if successful, it would buy them precious time to complete their preparations. As Chen boarded the Horizon, Nexus at her side, she felt a surge of pride in her crew. Humans and Luminary worked seamlessly together, their differences forgotten in the face of a common enemy. "All stations report in," Chen called as she took her place on the bridge. "Engineering ready, Captain," came the response. Luminary power cores integrated and running at 120% efficiency. "Weapons online," Rodriguez added. "New targeting systems are green across the board." Dr. Patel's voice crackled over the comm. "Medical bay standing by. Automated repair drones are prepped and ready." Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This was it, humanity's first true interstellar battle. "Nexus," she said, turning to her alien companion. "Any last words of wisdom?" Nexus's eyes gleamed with a mixture of determination and what Chen had come to recognize as affection. "Only this," the alien rumbled. "In all my years, I never imagined I would fight alongside beings such as you. Whatever happens, know that you have already changed the course of galactic history." The Void Collective faces something they have never encountered before. Oh, Chen raised an eyebrow. And what's that? Nexus's mouth curved in what could only be described as a smile. Humanity. With a nod to her helm officer, Chen gave the order. Take us out. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do. The Horizon glided out of the luminary Nexus, its hull gleaming with the iridescent sheen of its new upgrades. As they accelerated towards their target, Chen felt a familiar thrill course through her veins. It was the same feeling she had experienced on her first spaceflight, on her first command, the exhilaration of venturing into the unknown. But this time, the stakes were higher than ever before. The fate of Earth, of the Luminary, of countless civilizations across the galaxy, rested on the success of this mission. As the first shots were fired, lighting up the void of space with brilliant energy pulses, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Void Collective thought they were invincible, that they could consume the galaxy unopposed. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The battle for the future of the galaxy had begun, and humanity was leading the charge. The invasion begins. The void of space erupted in a dazzling display of energy as the U.S. Horizon engaged the Void Collective's scout ship. Captain Chen gripped her command chair, her eyes fixed on the tactical display as Lieutenant Rodriguez coordinated their attack. Luminary shields holding at 89%, Rodriguez reported, his voice tense but controlled. Their weapons are adapting to our defenses. Chen nodded grimly. They had expected this. The Void Collective's ability to evolve mid-battle was what made them such a formidable enemy. Implement random shield frequency rotations, she ordered. Don't give them time to lock on. As the battle raged, Dr. Patel's voice came over the comm. Captain, I'm detecting some kind of energy buildup in the enemy ship. It's like nothing we've seen before. Before Chen could respond, a blinding pulse of dark energy erupted from the scout ship, enveloping the horizon. For a moment, every system on the bridge went dark. Report. Chen barked as emergency lights flickered to life. Main power is down, came the response from engineering. Switching to luminary backup systems. Chen turned to Nexus, who stood calmly amidst the chaos. What was that? A void pulse, the alien explained, its voice grim. It drains energy, leaving ships helpless, but they underestimated your technology. Indeed, as Nexus spoke, the Horizon systems began to come back online, far faster than the void ship seemed to anticipate. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Human ingenuity combined with luminary tech was proving to be a powerful combination. All power to weapons, she commanded. Hit them while they think we're defenseless. The Horizon's response was swift and devastating. Enhanced by luminary technology, the ship's phasers cut through the scouts' defenses like they were paper. In a brilliant explosion, the enemy vessel disintegrated. A cheer went up on the bridge, but Chen knew their victory was short-lived. Damage report, she called out. Minor hull breaches on decks 3 and 4, Rodriguez responded. Repair drones are already on it. We got lucky, Captain. Chen nodded, her mind already racing ahead. Set course back to the luminary Nexus, maximum speed. They'll have detected that explosion. We need to be ready when they come in force. The journey back was tense, filled with frantic preparations and strategizing. By the time they docked with the Nexus, the entire station was a hive of activity. The Void Collective will see this as a declaration of war. A luminary elder informed them as Chen and her team stepped off the horizon. Our long-range sensors detect a massive fleet assembling. They will be here within days. Chen straightened, feeling the weight of command settle heavily on her shoulders. Then we'll be ready for them, she declared. Humanity didn't come this far to back down now. The next 72 hours were a blur of activity. The Horizon underwent rapid upgrades, its hull reinforced with luminary crystal matrices, its weapons systems integrated with technology that could adapt to the Void Collective's evolving defenses. Dr. Patel worked tirelessly with luminary scientists, developing a revolutionary shield system that could absorb and redirect enemy fire. "It's not perfect," she reported to Chen, dark circles under her eyes betraying her exhaustion, "but it should give us an edge." Lieutenant Rodriguez drilled both human and luminary crews relentlessly, forging them into a cohesive fighting force. "They've got the numbers," he told Chen during one brief respite, "but we've got something they can't compute: human unpredictability." As the deadline approached, Chen stood in the Nexus's grand observatory, watching as ships from a dozen allied races gathered around the station. It was an awe-inspiring sight, a testament to the unity they had forged in the face of annihilation. Nexus joined her, its massive form a comforting presence at her side. "When I first encountered your kind," the alien rumbled, "I never imagined this. You have united races that have been at odds for millennia." Chen smiled wryly. "Nothing brings people together quite like a common enemy." Before Nexus could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. On the observatory's massive display, a swarm of dark ships emerged from fold space. The Void Collective had arrived. "This is it," Chen breathed, straightening her uniform. "Time to make history." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations to come. The Void Collective struck with overwhelming force, their ships seeming to bend the very fabric of space as they advanced. But the Ally fleet was ready. Luminary vessels danced between enemy ships, their crystal hulls refracting energy weapons. Massive dreadnoughts from the warrior race of Krell absorbed incredible punishment, giving smaller, more agile ships the opportunity to strike at key targets. And at the heart of it all was the Horizon, leading daring attack runs that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Chen's voice rang out over the comms, coordinating the disparate alien forces into a cohesive fighting unit. "Bravo Squadron, cover the Luminary cruiser's flank. Krell Battle Group, push forward and draw their fire. Horizon, prepare for another Void Pulse. All non-essential systems to stand by." As the battle raged, it became clear that the Allies were holding their own, but at a terrible cost. Ships on both sides fell to the relentless exchange of fire, and for every Void vessel destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "We can't keep this up forever," Rodriguez growled, his consoles sparking as another hit rocked the ship. Chen's mind raced, searching for a solution. They needed something game-changing, something the Void Collective couldn't adapt to. Suddenly, an idea struck her, a desperate, possibly suicidal plan, but one that just might work. "Nexus," she called out, "you said the Void Collective exists in the space between stars, right? That they feed on energy." The alien nodded, its eyes gleaming with understanding. "Yes, but I see. It's brilliant, but the risk." Chen's grin was fierce. "Risk is our specialty. Patch me through to the entire fleet." As Nexus worked the communications array, Chen took a deep breath. What she was about to propose went against every instinct of self-preservation. But if it worked? "This is Captain Chen to all Allied ships," she began, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "I have a plan. It's dangerous, and I won't order anyone to follow us. But if we succeed, we can end this war here and now." She outlined her strategy quickly, watching as understanding dawned on the faces of her crew. It was audacious, possibly insane, but in that moment she saw something else in their eyes: hope. "Who's with us?" she asked finally. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ship after ship, crew after crew, pledged their support. In the face of annihilation, they had chosen to stand together. As the Horizon took point, leading a wedge formation straight into the heart of the Void Collective's fleet, Chen felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best, innovative, courageous, and determined to forge a better future, no matter the odds. "All ships," she commanded, her voice ringing with authority, "execute Operation Supernova on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." In that moment, as hundreds of ships unleashed their secret weapon, Chen knew that win or lose, the galaxy would never be the same again. The age of humanity had truly begun. Triumph of unity. The void of space erupted in a dazzling display of light as Operation Supernova unfolded. Hundreds of Allied ships, led by the U.S. Horizon, unleashed a carefully coordinated burst of energy directly into the heart of the Void Collective fleet. But this was no ordinary attack. Each burst carried within it a piece of revolutionary human technology, a gift from Earth that would change the course of the war. Captain Sarah Chen watched with bated breath as the energy waves collided with the Void ships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a cascade of falling stars, the Void vessels began to flicker and fade. "It's working," Dr. Patel exclaimed, her eyes wide as she monitored the sensor readings. "The nanites are rewriting their energy absorption protocols. They're overloading." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The plan had been audacious: use modified nanites, infused with a combination of human air and luminary crystal technology, to essentially hack the Void Collective's energy systems. Instead of consuming energy, they were now generating it uncontrollably. Across the battlefield, Void ships began to implode, unable to contain the sudden surge of power within them. The once unstoppable armada was dissolving before their eyes. "All ships, press the advantage," Chen commanded, her voice ringing with authority. "Don't let up until the last enemy vessel is neutralized." The Allied fleet responded with renewed vigor, emboldened by the success of the human strategy. Luminary cruisers danced between the failing Void ships, their crystal weapons shattering the weakened hulls. Krell dreadnoughts unleashed torrents of fire, while nimble fighters from a dozen different species darted through the chaos, picking off stragglers. As the battle raged on, Chen felt a presence at her side. Nexus stood there, its massive form radiating an air of awe and respect. "In all my years," the alien rumbled, "I have never seen anything like this. Your people, Sarah Chen, have achieved the impossible." Chen shook her head, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. "We all did this, Nexus. Every race, every ship out there. This victory belongs to all of us." Hours passed, the intensity of the fight never wavering. But gradually, inevitably, the tide turned. Where once the Void Collective had seemed endless, now their numbers dwindled. Each destroyed ship felt like a weight lifting off the galaxy's shoulders. Finally, as the last Void vessel flickered and died, a hush fell over the battlefield. For a moment, no one dared to speak, as if breaking the silence might somehow undo their hard-won victory. Then, from somewhere in the fleet, a cheer went up. It was soon joined by another, and another, until the comm channels were filled with the sounds of jubilation in 100 different languages. Chen sagged in her chair, the adrenaline of battle giving way to bone-deep exhaustion. She looked around at her crew, human and alien alike, seeing in their faces the same mix of disbelief, joy, and sorrow for those lost in the fight. "We did it," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "We actually did it." The aftermath of the battle was a flurry of activity. Rescue ships darted between the debris fields, searching for survivors. The Horizon, battered but unbroken, coordinated efforts to salvage Void technology for study. And through it all, a sense of cautious optimism began to spread. In the days that followed, as the Allied fleet regrouped at the Luminary Nexus, the full impact of their victory began to sink in. The Void Collective, the scourge of the galaxy for millennia, had been defeated. And it was humanity, the newcomers, the upstarts, who had turned the tide. A grand council was convened, with representatives from every Allied race in attendance. Chen found herself at the center of it all, the de facto voice of humanity in this new galactic order. "The threat of the Void Collective is ended," a luminary elder announced, its luminescent form pulsing with emotion. "But our work is not done. We must rebuild, heal, and forge a new path forward together." There were nods of agreement from around the chamber. The alliances forged in war would not be easily broken, but transitioning to peace would bring its own challenges. Humanity has proven itself a worthy addition to the galactic community. A Krell war chief rumbled, its massive form dwarfing those around it. We would hear their thoughts on our future. All eyes turned to Chen. She stood, feeling the weight of not just her crew or her planet, but her entire species resting on her shoulders. On Earth, she began, her voice clear and strong. We have a saying, united we stand, divided we fall. What we've accomplished here proves the truth of those words. We faced an enemy that threatened to consume us all, and we prevailed because we stood together. She paused, looking around the chamber, meeting the eyes, or eye stalks, or sensory clusters, of each alien representative. But unity doesn't mean uniformity, she continued. Our strength lies in our differences, in the unique perspectives and abilities each of us brings to the table. As we move forward, we must maintain that diversity while working towards common goals. Chen outlined a vision of a galactic alliance, not an empire or a federation, but a coalition of free peoples, working together for mutual benefit and protection. She spoke of cultural exchange programs, joint scientific ventures, and a united defense force. As she finished speaking, the chamber erupted in approval. It wouldn't be easy. There would be disagreements, setbacks, and challenges ahead. But in that moment, the future seemed brighter than it had in ages. Later, as Chen stood in the Nexus's observatory, watching ships from a dozen worlds come and go, Nexus joined her. You have given the galaxy something it has lacked for too long, the alien said softly. Hope. Chen smiled, thinking of the long journey ahead, for the horizon, for Earth, for all of them. Hope is what humanity does best, she replied. That, and beating impossible odds. As if on cue, her comm unit buzzed. It was a message from Earth, the first since they'd left on their mission so long ago. Chen read it, her eyes widening. What is it? Nexus asked, noting her expression. Chen's laugh was part disbelief, part exhilaration. It's an invitation, she said. The Galactic Council wants to establish its headquarters on Earth. They're calling us the heart of the Alliance. Nexus's rumbling chuckle joined her laughter. It seems, the alien mused, that humanity's greatest adventure is just beginning. As Chen looked out at the stars, no longer distant and unreachable, but filled with allies, friends, and endless possibilities, she couldn't help but agree. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had been the catalyst. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever new wonders or dangers awaited them in the vast expanse of space, one thing was certain: humanity had taken its place among the stars, and the universe would never be the same again. The end of one chapter and the beginning of a grand new adventure.